Honest, look at that shimmer. Just look. I love you. Today, I found out that Ryland Adams gave me a shout out in his latest YouTube video about him sewing his own wedding outfit. Apparently he's been watching my videos to learn how to sew, which blows my mind.
Look at the craftsmanship on the skinny pants.
Ryland, how are you doing this? How did you do this?
I watched a lot of With Wendy, who's a sewing girl on YouTube.
Hey, you're watching With Wendy.
She does other things too.
He cited this Timothée Chalamet Louis Vuitton harness as his dream wedding outfit. And I left a little comment on his video saying that I would make it for him. I really meant that because I actually have really wanted to make this for a long time. I was worried that it was like spring, summer 2019 and now it's 2020 and it's like, oh, fashion moves so fast, no one cares anymore. But you know what? I think this was a really special piece. It stood out to me from the first time I saw it and I think it's gonna be really fun to make. So this is for you, Ryland, but until you DM me, it's for me. Step 1, research. We're gonna do Timothée Chalamet. We're gonna add Louis Vuitton. I also have pulled up the product page. This is an item that was custom made, so I just picked the item on Louis Vuitton that is as close as possible. We've got this metallic leather. They don't call it a harness, it's a mid-layer. This just helps you to have a nice 360 view of the item. You get an idea of how it sits under the arm, on the back, all those kinds of things, and it's because most of the Timothée Chalamet photos are from the front, and that makes sense because that's also where his face is. From my research, these are the supplies that I need to get. 1 yard of black faux leather, make sure it's thick. 2 yards of 1 inch wide black webbing, ideally with a little bit of satin shine. 2 black slides or buckles in plastic or metal. 1/2 yard of black sequin fabric. 1/2 yard of some kind of black shimmer fabric. I don't even know how much is in here, but a lot of black seed beads and preferably on a string. It'll be way easier to handle. 1 black zipper about 7 to 8 inches long with thick teeth. And the things that I already have at home but you might need to get would be black snap closures, some fabric glue, black thread, and a lighter. Okay, so there's a few different ways to approach this, but your goal is to figure out how a rigid material is going to rest on your body, which has curves. I took a bodice drafting class last year that was really, really helpful, and out of it came a bodice pattern for the front half of my body, as well as a bodice pattern for the back of my body. I'm gonna use these to make a shell for my body form. And then from our research, we're gonna draw the shape of the harness onto it and cut away any of the excess until it looks like it's about the right shape. After I'm done, I will show you the pattern pieces that I cut out. So if you want to freehand, you could just screenshot and that will give you an idea of the shapes that you should cut out. This distance here on the back ideally should be somewhat similar to this distance here in the front. On the sides, we're just trying to encircle the arm generously because you don't want this to be so high up that it pinches any shirt that you're wearing underneath. This here at some point will be attached to the webbing, so I wrote down 1 inch to remind myself like we gotta eventually taper it to a 1 inch width so it matches the webbing. Generally, I tried to avoid the darts because you do not want to really be sewing darts into this harness if you can avoid it. The only one we couldn't work around was this one, but it's pretty small. We just tried to avoid like the peak of the boob is around here, and we just tried to avoid it so that this harness would lay flat and not like stick out from the body. We then cut along the lines that we drew, separated the front from the back, and traced 2 fronts and 2 backs out of the black vinyl. The 2 fronts should be symmetrical, not identical to each other, and same with the 2 back pieces. Okay, this is not sewn. I'm just holding it on by sheer friction. So far, so good. For the webbing, you're gonna want 10 centimeters. Let's go with that. We need 2 pieces that are 10 centimeters. And when you cut the webbing, you can run the end over a lighter just to help it not fray as you work with it. And the rest of the webbing is gonna end up draping down on your side a reasonable amount, this long. With the webbing, I'm gonna attach the loop end to the back side of the harness. So this is the short piece, so that now it's just here. And just so it's coming out on the inside with a straight stitch. Like so. Gonna do the same thing on the other side with the little loop. And then on the front piece, The goal is just to sew a straight edge right here coming out, no loop. I went out and got a haircut, so let's just move past this. Okay, the last fancy thing that needs to be done to the inside of this harness is I want to throw down the zipper. I don't have to do this, but just like as a treat, I'm putting one on the inside. So I've got the zipper on here. I've put a mark for where I want the absolute bottom of the zipper to be. Okay, we're gonna try to do a welt zipper insert. I don't even know if those were the right words. I want an opening that is 1/4 of an inch wide. Basically gonna cut out these little V shapes. The idea here is you want to fold these back so that we're opening up a rectangle of space for the zipper teeth to appear. Okay, so I have this sewn to one opening. So my concept is that I flip the zipper and bring it to the inside. I've seen worse things. This is the stitch that I just added to secure it right sides together to the zipper. So now I can just press and hold this open and add a straight stitch, just like this stitch. The zipper pull is in our future and we want to put it in the past. So the needle is down, we lift the foot, gently bring that zipper, yes, into the past, recenter everything in front of you, bring down the presser foot, and now we can unobstructedly get to the end of this runway. Yay! So if you got a zipper that was the perfect length, then you could sew over here safely without running your machine over plastic teeth. I'm just tucking the little corner in and praying for the best. The way I finished off all these ends so that they just kind of disappear, I pull the threads through and tie them together into a knot, and then that way they don't fray, but they also don't have any visible knotting in the front. This is the part where I realized that I got it backwards. This should have been here. Basically, I should have taken the other piece and sewn the zipper to it. What do? Do I become left-handed? A decision has been made. As of today, I am left-handed. In order to get this on, one of the shoulder joints needs to stay open so that it can go around your head, since I think this, yeah, there's no way. The other shoulder joint, I just sewed it together, both on the inside layer and on the outside layer. I just sewed it right sides together, and then to make it look extra clean, I opened up the seam and did one stitch on the left, one stitch on the right. And you get this nice and slick, finished, flat profile seam. I have the inside layer with that zipper face down, got the outside layer, I've joined the shoulder together, and I'm gonna put this whole thing wrong sides touching. And I'm gonna sew these two layers together along the outside edge all the way around, so now it's a complete piece. I thought partway that I might need to switch to a walking foot, since vinyl can be a little grippy on the machines. If you're having a hard time sewing your vinyl, switch to a walking foot. Yeah, no regrets. It's making it way easier to steer, which is making me not feel like I'm yanking on the fabric, which is helping the fabric to lay nice and flat. We have a problem. Don't laugh at me, it's real. I just realized that this pretty shimmery fabric, I've cut it with the holster on the left side of my body. So if I flip the harness inside out, the left is here. So now the dilemma really is the zipper. And I am pretty proud of my handiwork. So you know what? My plan is to keep the zipper here. I know that's inaccurate compared to what Timothy has, but just, you know, okay? You get it, okay. Onwards. It's day 2. Here's the progress. Let me bring you closer. Using the exact same template, I've cut out a front and a back from, I don't know, it's like this like shimmering tweed fabric, and it makes it look like it's bead encrusted. All of this can be glued to this leather underneath. I plan to glue it on while it's on the form instead of like on a flat table. Since holes in vinyl are permanent, I tried not to use pins to secure this harness to the body form. I have this funny pin plus paperclip method that like held up the harness without poking holes into it. Because I decided to keep the zipper on the outside, when I glued that layer, I just cut a slit so that I could let the zipper poke through, and I just like pulled all the fabric aside to make it a nice opening. This is also the part where you should add snaps to close up the other shoulder. The last thing we're going to do before we move on to the applique is just give it a little bit of a trim. There's a few parts where the pleather didn't match up perfectly, so I just trimmed it away. We want that slick look because this is supposed to be worth a couple $1,000s. Applique time, applique time, applique. The goal here is to create this like lush garden of sequins and beads and textures on the harness. This layer is now on as a base. I did add a zigzag stitch all the way around because I noticed there was some fraying. I've got this black sequin fabric, and I've kind of identified 3 texture zones on his outfit. There is like the black sequins, there are black little seed beads, and then there's just overall shimmer. I'm just gonna start cutting out various pieces that kind of like, I don't know, clouds, garden. So here's my random shape number 1, and I'm gonna keep cutting out more of these. Welcome to day 3. I've been successful at crowd surfing on the internet. Thank you to all the people who replied and thumbs up my comment. Ryland has seen it, and he wrote, "Oh my gosh," smiley face, "I will message you on Instagram." No message yet, but regardless, we finished today. I'm pretty okay with the distribution of sequins. Here's how this flap is looking. Last night I just sat right here while watching TV, and what we did was we managed to do one whole container of these beads. We transferred them all onto strings. Take a really skinny, look how skinny this needle is. Really skinny embroidery needle, and we just went like stab until we got a couple of beads on, and then let it go through. I know there's a tool that does this for you, but I don't have that tool. So this is what 5 episodes of Friends was able to produce. I'm gonna show you the method that I'm going with. Again, with the power glue, this is like the best purchase I've made in the last month. I do some twirls in the general area where I'm going to put the beads, and we're just putting the beads onto the fabric, pressing it into the glue. Once you get to the edge, you can do whatever. You can turn the corner, you can glide along. There's no mistakes here. And don't let the loose end hang too much with gravity, because that's gonna put a strain on the beads that you're trying to pat in place. I'm way too scared to cut this because I'm worried beads are just gonna go everywhere. So what I've been doing at this point is deciding like, where else do I want to take the bead clump? So for example, like we could put another bead clump right here. One more clump finished, and then I'm just gonna put one more up here. I'm just jacking up the ISO so that you can see the black area clearer. So yeah, I'm not trying to like look a different shade out here. The glue is pretty much dried. Look, this is so secure. It's staying on. But what I've been doing is taking some needle and thread and just making sure I go over the places where the beads turn corners, or if they're just like hanging loose, especially in those trailing parts in between. Sometimes I'm tempted to breeze over little details like this. At the same time, I want this channel to be a place where like myself and the audience learns how much effort goes into clothing, and therefore can like understand better the labor, the value, the cost of materials, since clothes is something we wear every day, but we don't always think about where it comes from and its story. Okay, back to a more comfortable level of zoom. I think the next time you'll see this, it will be done. Cue the modeling shots, future Wendy. And finally, to really check if I pulled it off, here it is, styled as Timothée Chalamet wore it to the Golden Globes, or like my best attempt. Obviously, I don't have his cheekbones or mysterious eyes or any resemblance for that matter, but I did my best to try to stand strong. Taking these photos made me realize I have no idea how guys pose for photos. It's just Blue Steel, lost member of BTS. If you liked watching me try to create this piece, you can subscribe, you can hit the bell notification. With Wendy is my Instagram, and there will be plenty more photos there soon. Ryland, if you want me to send you one of these, you know how to find me. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.